Welcome back to another Tech Junkie video. Today we've got a doozy. This iPhone 7 Plus came in with the screen completely ripped off, so at a minimum it's going to need a new front camera and a new screen. We also recommended the customer replace their home button and battery. Those repairs were declined. The home button did not work after we were finished with the phone, and the battery looks trashed. But first off, let's start off with testing the new screen. This first screen we put on, booted up, looked good. Sadly, no touch function. At first we thought maybe the phone was trashed and we couldn't repair it, but then the screen started to flicker a little bit, so we tried a second screen, and sure enough, this screen worked out great. So now we can proceed with the repair. The first thing we need to do is make sure this screen is fully functional with no touch issues, and then we can move on to the repair. Once the boot up process is complete, we can see that we do have full touch function with no issues, so we can disconnect the battery and take the screen back off and prep the new screen with the parts from the old screen that we can use. Now, of course, that front-facing camera was ripped apart, so we're going to have to replace that. Both the ear speaker bracket, and the screws can be transferred, and even though the home button was also ripped, we still need to use that home button to cover the home button hole so you don't have a hole at the bottom of your phone. And we need that bracket and those screws as well, so we transferred that over to the new screen. Now we need to remove the Phillips screws from the ear speaker bracket so we can transfer those to the new screen. We did pull a brand new camera from parts so that we could replace that customer's front-facing camera. If he decided not to replace that front-facing camera, you're not going to have ear speaker function, you won't have a proximity sensor, and you won't have a front camera, functioning front camera. So that was an important repair to authorize, and the customer did go with that. Now, first off, we're going to cover that hole at the bottom with the screws and the bracket from the old home button. This will prove only to be cosmetic so that there's not a gaping hole at the bottom. It will keep dust and moisture out of the phone, so that's important, but the customer said he would come back later and get a home button replacement done. Now here we have the new front-facing camera assembly. The front-facing camera assembly also houses your proximity sensor and your ear speaker connector. These are not pre-folded, so that you have to fold your sensors in place and make sure they're guided into the appropriate spot on your new screen. Those 4 contact points are for your ear speaker. Your proximity sensor goes there at the top, and then your ear speaker can go on top of those 4 contact points. Once you get the ear speaker in place, and it wiggles around a little bit with this new front camera, you take your bracket, your holding bracket, and put it on top of your ear speaker. Make sure all of your holes line up and your contact points are lined up, or you won't have the ear speaker function. Once you get the bracket in place, you can go ahead and put your Phillips screws back in place to make sure everything is held tight. I had a little bit of issues with everything squirting around in my hand, so it took a few tries to get all these screws in place, but we got it done. No iPhone 7 Plus ear speaker is going to whip me. There are, I believe, 5 screws here. We'll get these in place momentarily. And essentially that's the last part, other than reconnecting your LCD and ear speaker connectors on the board. Once you get those screws back in place, you can turn your phone on, but first we got to go with the 3 tri-wing screws here at the top. This holds your front camera assembly in place and connect it to the board. Next, we're going to move down to the LCD connector. You want to reconnect your battery, plug your home button connector and your LCD connector in place, and replace the 4 tri-wing screws. As we mentioned before, this home button is not going to function, but you still want to make sure that the home button connector is in place. You don't want a loose connector flailing around inside of your phone. Now that the new screen is in place and everything is connected, we can feed the teeth that fit along the top and sides of the phone, fit everything in place, snap it down. That way your screen is connected. Put your pentalobe screws in the bottom and turn your phone on and test the touch function. That's all there is to an iPhone 7 Plus. It's a relatively simple and straightforward repair. Everything worked out fine. I didn't expect this phone to work again after seeing the condition it was when it came in, but it's working as good as new, other than that home button. Customer is going to come back and have that replaced at a later time, but he only wanted the necessities done today. So that's all there is to this repair. If you like this video, make sure you hit that like button, subscribe to the channel for future repairs, and I appreciate you watching. Thanks a lot.